Good morning, Mets fans, and welcome to a Wednesday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. Today is Wednesday, March the 11th, and it's been a full week since I've recorded any videos, despite my preference to have recorded one sooner. A couple of things happened over the last few days that prevented me from doing that. I'm going to talk about those things, and I'm going to also talk about the topic I wanted to cover last Friday, which is chemistry, and how that was on full display during a game last week. So the last week has been very interesting. Last Wednesday and Thursday, I was unexpectedly out of town. One of my good friends from college, a guy I lived with for 4 years, succumbed to cancer and passed away. So his viewing and funeral service were last Wednesday and Thursday, respectively. So I left work on Wednesday and went up to pay my respects and see my buddy Kev for the last time. And that was tough, you know, as it tends to be when these sorts of things happen. Kev was 40 years old when he passed, and you know, it kind of makes you think about mortality a little bit and value your own life a little bit more, which leads me to what happened to me the next morning. Friday morning, ready to go to work, doing my normal AM routine, ready to record this podcast, or this video rather, this discussion. And without realizing it, I closed my car door, the door that's right behind me, on my right hand, severing the top of my middle finger. And I'm talking severing, like ripping it right off. The car was hungry. We got in a fight and the car won. So I lost the tip of my fingernail, a lot of blood. It was unpleasant, but it was what it was. I was able to get to the emergency room. They took care of me and stitched me up, and haven't really been able to drive since today. Today's my first attempt behind the wheel, and you know, it's fine. I've got 9 and 3/4 fingers, or 9 5/6 fingers left to work with. So that's what's going on with me over the last week, and I'm sorry I wasn't available to record any videos, but I'm here now. And what I wanted to talk about last week was a reaction to something that happened during a televised spring training game. I think it was Wednesday afternoon, last Wednesday afternoon, and it was an ESPN game, I believe. I think it was an ESPN game. It was either ESPN or MLB Network, but I think it was ESPN. But regardless, ESPN had a couple of the Mets players mic'd up, and a couple of the, I think they were playing the Cardinals, if I recall. It doesn't matter. A couple of different players were mic'd up throughout the game, and there was a lot of interviewing with both sides. You know, the Mets, and I think it was the Cardinals, because I remember Mike Schultz was talking about getting married, whatever. But it was really fun. I mean, it really was fun. It was a fun broadcast. And you know, this whole discussion about how do we bring young players into the game and make them like baseball more. This is an idea that might work. My opinion, it doesn't work during the regular season. Spring training games don't mean anything. Nobody's really trying to win. Focusing on mentally and physically preparing for the long season ahead, and they can sort of be distracted a little bit, they being the players on the field. If this is a regular season game, I don't want to have a distraction like that interfering in the player's mindset, the player's thought process about what they're going to do on the next pitch, where they're going to position themselves in the field. They don't have an extra second to look at the cheat sheet like Dom Smith has in his back pocket, and where to position themselves for a certain batter or another. So I as much as I enjoyed this, I'm right away going to say this is not something for the regular season. Figure out a better way to get young people to like baseball again. But I digress. The 3 players that were mic'd up for the Mets over the course of a full inning, so a half inning in the field, half inning at the plate, were J.D. Davis, Jeff McNeil, and Dominic Smith. And it was as delightful a 12-minute experience watching a baseball game as I can recall. I was smiling ear to ear, listening to these guys talk and how much they genuinely enjoy each other. And you tie this back into the story that we read last week from DeComo about the Cookie Club, and you tie this back into something that I've been saying all winter long, which is you do not mess around with the chemistry on this team by importing outside people and breaking up this unit, this tight-knit unit that formed this bond during the 2019 season. You don't do it. And the way that McNeil and Davis and Dom interacted with each other and laughed with each other and encouraged each other and genuinely love one another, that is something that is incredibly hard to duplicate on the professional baseball, any professional sport, because it is at the end of the day a business. But these guys clearly have a significant amount of affection for each other. They would run through a wall for each other, and the razzing of JD and for not being on the field, the making fun of Dom for losing weight and not having enough power behind his swing to hit a ball out of the park when he was at the plate, making fun of McNeil and his squirrel nickname and talking about that. It was fantastic. It was so great to be able to sort of peel back the curtain and see and hear how these guys talk to each other and how much they enjoy each other. And just sort of to draw the parallel for me with what I was going through last week, it reminded me a lot of how I was with my friends in college. And we were a pretty close-knit group. There were, over the 4 years, between 6 and 8 of us, and maybe toward the tail end, about 10 of us that were really, really, really close. And the core of us, there were 5 of us that came up through freshman year together. You know, we went from freshman to senior, and weren't roommates per se in the same room all 4 years, but we lived together, meaning across the hall from each other, sharing a bathroom, in the same apartment for our last 2 years. So it was just a interesting parallel for me to draw and to hear those guys talk to each other. And then later in the game, to hear Pete Alonso and Robbie Cano interviewed from the dugout. You know, people can say whatever they want about Cano and what have you, but I get the sense that he is a really good influence on this young team. I really do. The way that he speaks and the way that other people and players on the team speak about him tells me that he is absolutely not out of place at all on this team, and he adds to the chemistry, doesn't detract from it. So the bottom line with all of this is I remain steadfast in saying that chemistry is so extremely important, and it isn't a requirement. And I want to make that abundantly clear. I don't think chemistry is the requirement for a winning team. But I do think that chemistry can make the difference between an 85-win season and a 90-win season, provided you've got the right people in place, and it's got to be the right mix. But I think the Mets have that, and I'm going to see very soon. I mean, we're 2 weeks from tomorrow is opening day, so we're going to find out starting on the 26th of March whether this off-the-field camaraderie and brotherhood and chemistry this team shares translates into on-field success and in-season success. And I for one am excited to get the season started. On a related note, a thumbs up, thumbs down sort of situation. Yesterday, it was officially reported that Michael Conforto had strained his oblique, and that's a no-no. I mean, that's as bad as a lingering injury can be for a power hitter. You know, that oblique strain can linger all season long. So the hope for me is that he rests. If he has to miss opening day, so be it. But get to 100%. Do not try to come back at 90% or 95%. Get back to 100% and then come back, Mr. Conforto. Because the thumbs up side to this is that also yesterday it was reported that Yoenis Cespedes is very close to being ready to participate in his first spring training game. And that might mean that he is available to make the opening day roster, which is mind-boggling. I think nobody expected that. But, you know, Cespedes might be closer than we think, and Conforto being unavailable for opening day might just sort of naturally work itself out, where you can have Nimmo man right field, you can have Marisnik play center, you can have Cespedes in left, and then you can keep your normal infield alignment, or you can maybe play around a little bit and work with J.D. Davis in right field, although that's probably a mistake. But regardless, maybe J.D. Davis plays third base and McNeil starts the season in right field. I don't know, but there's options, and a healthy Cespedes on opening day is a huge boon for this 2020 Mets team. That's going to wrap it up for today. I've got no idea what my schedule is going to be like, so I'm not going to make any promises about when I'll record another video. I'm sort of I'm day to day at this point, and I'm not on the injured list yet, but I'm in typical Mets fashion. I'm probably going to sit on the bench for 7 days and not get into any games, and then they'll pinch hit me on the 10th day, and I'll re-aggravate my injury and have to go on the injured list then. So, so I'm on the day-to-day list, and we'll see how it goes. But I do hope to be ready for opening day, ready to get onto our normal everyday schedule of talking about last night's game. I can't wait. I'm sure you guys all feel the same way. So let me know what you think about my chemistry comments. I think they are spot on, but I could be wrong. We'll find out, like I said. Let me know what you think in the either the comments below on YouTube or on Twitter at Mr_Met. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it, as always. And as always, let's go Mets.